Competition time. Grab a chance at winning a new phone by Information Forge. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, like our videos, comment on our videos, share our videos on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and other social media. Increase your chances of winning by watching as many videos on our channel as possible. Winners of our competition will be announced at the end of every month. Enjoy watching the video. Top biggest mistakes in the world. As humans, we all would make mistakes, but the consequences of some are just too significant to be ignored. Starting from the guy who forgot to put on his pants to work, to the man who deleted his entire company with one wrong line of code. We are all meant to learn from our mistakes, but some errors should never occur again. This is why today, we'd be bringing you the top 9 mistakes in the world. You know what they say, those who fail to learn from history are bound to repeat it. No, that's a quote. I didn't ask you to repeat it. Before we go into the video, kindly hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel for more amazing videos like this. Also, hit the notification bell for good luck. Hey guys, welcome to Information Forge, where we bring you the juiciest content. Starting from the 9th on our list, number 9. August 12, 1985, the crash of the Japanese Boeing 747 airplane. This is unarguably the saddest day in Japanese history. On the 12th of August 1985, the Japanese Airlines Flight 123 was on a journey from Haneda Airport in Tokyo to the Osaka International Airport, Japan. Unfortunately, the plane became a death trap 12 minutes into the flight. Unknowingly to the pilots, the Boeing's aft pressure bulkhead had burst open. The airplane suffered an explosive decompression, and this allowed a rush of unpressurized air into the cabins. Although the pilot managed to keep the aircraft alive for around 32 minutes, that was all he could do before the airplane crashed between the ridges of Mount Takamagara. With only 4 survivors, the crash claimed 520 lives, followed by the resignation of the then president of the Japan Airlines. Guilt-stricken, the inspection engineer and maintenance manager of the aircraft both committed suicide. This tragic event led to a drastic decline in air commute in Japan. How exactly did this happen? A few years back, the Boeing was in a tail strike, which led to a damaged rear pressure bulkhead. Although it was later repaired at that time, it was later discovered that the repair was not done according to the required standard. There is no statement as to whether the airline was trying to save costs or this was mere negligence. However, hundreds of lives were lost by a mistake that could have been easily avoided. Number 8. 1957. The Great Sparrow Campaign. Have you ever heard of the Great Chinese Famine? The same one that led to the death of over 40 million Chinese people? What if I told you that that famine was triggered after a Chinese leader ordered the killing of sparrows all over the country? Weird, right? I thought so too. In 1958, during Mao Zedong's reign in China, the locals were often disturbed by sparrows. The sparrows were feasting on the cereals and farm produce, which was always leading to low harvest. To conquer their enemies, the Chinese ruler initiated a campaign to eradicate 4 major pests: mosquitoes, rodents, airborne flies, and sparrows. At the end of the campaign, millions of sparrows were killed, with their nests destroyed and their eggs broken. What the Chinese leader didn't realize was that as these birds were eating grains and fruits, they were also eating harmful insects and vermin that could cause more damage to crops. With the absence of sparrows came the influx of insects, which took over the farms and destroyed a large part of the farm produce. In time, China began to suffer from famine, one that lasted for about 3 to 4 years. Although the Chinese leader tried to bring in sparrows from the Soviet Union, it was too late. Number 7. 1999. Excite refuses to buy Google. Although this is not a historical event, it sure records the most historical financial loss ever known to mankind. Google was founded by Larry Page and Sergey Brin in 1996, back at Stanford University. In 1999, the two tried to sell the company for $1 million to a rival company, Excite, who at the time was led by George Bell, but he refused. The price was later brought to $750,000, but Bell still refused. Today, Google is one of the largest companies in the world, valued at $498 billion. And yes, Excite folded up a few years later. Number 6. 1962. Decca Records failed to sign the Beatles. If you were born 30 or 40 years ago, you should have heard at least one track from the musical sensation, the Beatles. For the younger generation, just think of One Direction in their prime, and you would get the picture. The Beatles had their fair share of struggle before reaching prominence. In 1962, they auditioned to be signed by Decca Records, ignoring the fact that the band drove for about 10 hours to get to the audition. The Decca staff told them that the Beatles have no future in show business. The Beatles ended up becoming the exact opposite of what they said, becoming an international act with several hit tracks. This mistake made by Decca Records is still considered one of the biggest in musical history. Number 5. 1914. The Wrong Turn. Did you know that World War I sparked off because of one wrong turn? On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and his beloved wife, Sophie, were visiting the capital of Bosnia. Luckily, the Archduke and his wife escaped a terrorist attack on their way. They decided to drive towards the hospital, but unfortunately, the driver makes a wrong turn and parked a few feet away from Gavrilo Princip, who was 19 years old at the time. Surprised at the opportunity, Princip was not ready to let it slide. He immediately kills the Archduke and his wife, an act that led to several events that led to the First World War. Who would have thought that the war that claimed the lives of millions could have been avoided if the driver had just gone the right way? Number 4. 2009. Brian Actor and Jane Coombe job rejection. In 2009, two young programmers applied for a job at Facebook. Although talented, they just didn't seem to be Facebook material. Unlike many other applicants who would wallow in despair for missing out on a dream job, the duo went ahead to create something of their own. A few years later, WhatsApp was born, becoming one of the biggest instant messaging apps in the world. Facebook later sought out the two programmers for their company and paid $19 billion purchasing it. I'm sure they wouldn't have made that much money if they were working for Facebook. Sometimes, rejections can be a blessing in disguise. Who knows? Number 3. 1918. The man who didn't kill Hitler. Adolf Hitler is the real-life Thanos from the Avengers, who is responsible for wiping out millions of lives. However, his existence could have been cut short, and the Second World War prevented if only he had been killed much earlier than he was. On September 28, 1918, Henry Tandy, a British war hero, was posted to a French village during World War I. There, he encountered a wounded German soldier who was an enemy at the time, but instead of killing him, he allowed him to go. The German soldier happened to be Adolf Hitler, who was 29 years old at the time. Hitler himself later recounted the story 20 years later. Number 2. 1867. Russia sold Alaska for 2 cents per acre. The Russians were the first dwellers of Alaska. Due to constant war threats from the British Empire, Russia decided to sell the whole of Alaska for $7.2 million. When Russia sold it, they must have thought it to be only a wasteland, full of dust. Well, they were wrong. A few years later, oil was discovered in Alaska by the USA, making the land much more valuable than it was initially sold for. In 2017, over 1.2 billion barrels of oil had been discovered in Alaska. Number 1. 2003. The Cedar Fire. The Cedar Fire is the biggest fire outbreak in the history of California, claiming over 15 lives and burning over 280,278 acres of land. The total loss was estimated at $1.5 billion, with more than 2,800 buildings destroyed. How did the fire start? Sergio Martinez is a hunter from West Covina who got lost on October 25, 2003, at the Cedar Creek Falls of Cleveland National Forest. In his attempt to contact his partner, he shot a signal flare into the sky to signify his current location. Although he later found his partner, later that evening, a fire was reported to have started just around the corner from where he shot the signal flare. It is sad to see how one small distress could lead to bigger distress. So there you have it, 9 of the biggest mistakes ever made in the world. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification button to get notified when another video is posted. Bye for now.